Okay, guys.
What do you know about Tom's team right now?
Well, we've seen them play twice. They played 2 exhibition games and were impressive in both games. And you can tell they're rebounding the ball and they're really guarding hard. They don't really pressure, like extend as much, but step outside the 3-point line. They're guarding hard and they're long. When you start, of course, their point guard. Obviously he's a terrific athlete, but he's not tall. But their other 4 starters are going to be in that 6, 7 range to 7 foot. So I think he's got a long team. So we'll have to rebound and we'll have to get back in transition because they are pushing.
Yeah, they sound like they like to run, and you guys want to play fast too. Does that mesh in this type of game, or do you think these will be slow it down?
3 years ago we played and there's a lot of points scored. I mean, I think both of us hung about 86, 88. Yeah. So I think his teams have been very good in this over time, in that they really, really push it every time to score. But if it's not there, it's not like they have to shoot fast. And I'm kind of hopeful that we get to the point where we're kind of that way as well. But I've always been impressed of his first 2 or 3 steps when they go from defense to offense. I mean, it's a full out sprint, and they're doing a good job pushing it. And we'll want to play fast also. We haven't been very effective playing fast. At least we weren't last year, but hopefully this year we'll be much more effective.
Did you get serious with the recruitment of their point guard from Northeast?
We liked him. We liked him, and we certainly would have loved to have had him at that particular time. He was like one of the very first ones, if I'm not mistaken, to kind of go in the portal and be a highly recruited guy in the portal, and it went just like that. So we went from recruiting to basically he was committing to state very early on. So I think he's good, and he's a quick, terrific athlete.
What have you had to tell these guys, this team, about that environment that they're going into Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't know that I mean, we talked about it a little bit, and I mentioned it to them, but I don't know that I've gone into great detail on anything. But we will today and tomorrow. We got time. It's a different thing, and the pressures are different. And I've told them a lot. If you're struggling with me yelling at you now because the pressure of whatever, wait till Tuesday. First time to run out there, and you're in the Garden, and you probably got some really famous people maybe sitting on the front row, and stakes are high, and Michigan State is ultra competitive, and they're coming at your throat. And I mean, it's a different feel, as you guys know. But I don't know how we'll react to it, but I think, our veteran guys, just like State's veteran guys, they should be fairly well accustomed to it, even though first game, everybody's a little bit extra juiced.
And how do you think Dave matches up with their 7-footer Marcus Bingham?
Well, I hope well. He's a terrific defensive center. I mean, he blocks and alters, and sometimes Dave can shy away from contact. And when you shy away from contact with the shot blocker, that's not a good formula for success. He's got to be able to play through some contact. And Bingham's also, I don't know how many threes he'll shoot, but Tom's certainly letting him shoot them right now. And it looks good. So, and I saw something where Tom said he was pleased at how he's shooting the ball. So totally different when your 5-man can stretch it in how teams guard. So I hope it's a good matchup for us, but I'm sure they're hoping the same thing for them.
How excited are you personally to be back in Madison Square Garden? I know last year the whole, COVID wasn't quite the same. But how excited are you to be back in Madison Square Garden?
Well, we played in the Garden last, I guess, in 19, so it'd be 1920 season. And of course, we had a great year. We didn't get a chance to play for anything, but it's a fun event, and it's a fun night, and it's a great way to tip off the basketball season. All eyes will be on the 4 teams that are playing there, at least to an extent, although there's other teams playing across the country, but none of them are going to get the same exposure as what we'll get that night and the other teams. So I think I'm excited for that. You do this for a long time because there's certain things that kind of get your motor running or your juices flowing. And this is a great way to do that, not only with players, but for coaches as well.
That said, do you like getting it over with or getting the excitement going at 6 o'clock compared to the late game?
Yes, that's a good question, Gary. That's one of the better ones you've asked it a long time. The early game is better. I don't know if you guys have remembered, we played in the late game half the time, but when you play in the late game, I mean, first game runs long and the first game will run long. There'll be more fouls called because first game of the season and officials are going to, overly emphasize whatever the point of emphasis is. And not saying that's wrong, but that's just what's going to happen more than likely. And that's first game, if it goes OT, that second game isn't starting at 9, it could start closer to 10. And then, when you fly back the same night, it's over at midnight or whatever. And then you have an hour for media or whatnot. Then you got to get to the airport. And it's another hour and a half or 2 hours before you can take off. I mean, you end up landing back here at Eastern time at 4 or 5 in the morning. So the first game, even though it'll still be a late night, it'll be far better for, I think, us and state in that regard.
What's the big key to success? Obviously, that 19 game in that building, you turned it over a ton, and that killed you. But
well, yeah, that we that was a strange game. We were trying to play two bigs then. We hadn't figured out who our team was, which will be the same thing in this game. I hate to tell our fans, but we don't know who we are yet. And of course, not having Jay Will and Jay Cole has been hurt the whole time, or the last 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks. So we don't know what will be or who will be yet. And it was so evident when you watch that team play in 19, we thought we had our guys on the floor and the pieces just didn't quite fit. And then, 3 months later, we don't even look like the same team. And I think, I'm sure it'll be that way with the 4 teams in this thing. Deficiencies will and should be exposed, give us plenty of stuff to work on and everything. But I hope that we play with composure, and I hope we play with unbelievable excitement, pace, and enthusiasm. But sometimes when you do that, it leads to carelessness. And I hope we kind of have a blend there where we can be sound and still yet be really excited to go play.
do you expect it? I mean, you've got some guys that have been in this game playing. Do you expect the composure part?
I don't know yet. We've got a piece or two that hasn't been here, but I don't know why we wouldn't be. But the thing about it is, there will be guys more nervous for this game than there will be guys more nervous for the first round of the NCAA tournament game, just because we haven't had 30 games under our belt or 35 games under our belt to get used to what's getting ready to happen in the tournament. Whereas this is it's totally new to everybody. And so, and we got 8 newcomers out there. What do we have? 8 on scholarship newcomers? I mean, that's a lot of newcomers. And so, and they haven't figured me out yet. And I'm just trying to get to where I know them and can figure them out. So I anticipate there'll being some anxiousness, but that also is positive too.
Is Jalen Coleman-Lands available?
We hope so. He's practiced the last 2 days, so we hope so. He's not 100% though, but he should be available to play unless he has a setback.
How'd they respond to you? Obviously weren't too thrilled with how practice had gone leading up to your exhibition. How have they been since?
I thought pretty good. I actually thought there were moments in the exhibition game where we looked pretty good. I mean, we played the right way and at least the way we want to. We didn't really run anything, but I thought there were times we looked good. I thought the second half, when we subbed a lot, that kind of is an indication that maybe the chemistry is not as good with all players as it is with some. So I didn't think we were great the second half, but I think the attitudes and effort and everything's been good. We went really hard last week, really hard, and then we took yesterday off. So hopefully they'll be fresh and ready to go today.
Any red shirt?
No, nothing concrete at all yet. But you'll know something if we do anything by Tuesday. I promise. So
What have you seen out of Michigan State's young freshman, Max Christie?
he's good. He can score off the bounce. He definitely score off the catch. He's got range. Stroke looks pure. he's long, rebounding. One thing about playing at Michigan State, and you can say this about other programs, but I don't know if anybody does it better than what they do, is they can take guys and make them into and mold them into what they want them to be from a physical standpoint and from a mental toughness standpoint, probably as well as anybody. To me, he looks like he's a real guy, a guy that won't have a long career there. And now, who knows how long that is? But he's a talented youngster.
Any questions from the Zoom?
Hey, Bill, what challenges does their positional size present, and like how can you combat that, especially without Jalen being out there?
Yeah, if Jalen was out there, I would say that we probably match up really well, both teams. They may be a little bit taller standing height, but both teams match up pretty well. Taking Jalen out and inserting a 6-foot point guard, and they know we switch a lot. That is some positional challenges. So, we're working on some different things, and hopefully we'll know a few things. And also the first game, you don't know everything that they're going to do. So they'll have some clever ways to try to play through that. And we got to have some clever ways how to negate that. But that is certainly something that is on our radar, and we're talking about and working on.
Anything else from the Zoom?
Hey, Bill, Jerry Tipton at the Herald Leader in Lexington. You mentioned that Madison Square Garden, a different environment, different nerves. As a coach, what do you look for to tell you, that atmosphere may be affecting the players?
Jerry, once we get into the game, if the atmosphere is affecting the players, I don't know if there's really much a coach can do to say, hey, call a timeout and say, calm down, take a deep breath. But before the game, I think coaches can do some things saying, maybe to make it where it's not a surprise, hey, Spike's going to be sitting right here, and this is who's going to be sitting next to him, or however you want to do it. So that way they don't go out there and they're not just totally blown away by the atmosphere. But this will be a good atmosphere for a lot of reasons. And we're not going to deal with it directly, but everybody does indirectly. One of the reasons for the enthusiasm is obviously it's the beginning of the last season for Coach K. And then, of course, you had Duke and Kentucky playing in that particular game. That definitely adds a lot of bounce and energy to it. So, I don't know that I will probably do much, though, Jerry, to try to temper it or anything like that, except just talk about what I just mentioned. But the bottom line is all the guys playing in this need to learn how to adjust and play in this, because this is what we're hopeful we'll be playing in later as well.
Thanks.
Anything else? All right, thanks.